From a distance, it looks like a warship standing in the sea. But in reality, it is a small town which is completely destroyed today. At one time, more than 5,000 people lived in this small island, and it was called the most densely populated city not only in Japan but in the world. There were apartments whose concrete has now been washed away by the bay. Human stuff still exists in them. It seems that the people who live here have left everything behind and fled from here. There was a school where children's boys sometimes echoed. Hospital, town hall, swimming pool, shops, cinema were all the facilities that any city should have. But today this whole island and the whole town seems like a deserted ghost town. But why? Why not one of the thousands of people who used to live here live here today? What happened there is that Japan stopped tourists from coming to the island for 35 years. This island is called Hashima, which is located in the South China Sea 15 kilometers from the Japan city of Nagasaki. Because the shape of this island resembles a battleship, so it is also called Battleship Island. There are about 500 uninhabited islands in this part of the ocean. But Hashimi's story is quite different. If seen, the other islands are quite green, but Hashimi Island is a huge rock rising out of the sea with almost no vegetation. Hashimi Island played a major role in boosting Japan's economy in its time, and its most special thing was the coal mine. Over the past 115 years of history, 16.5 million tons of coal have been mined from the seabed near this plateau. Today, this amount of coal to build a separate city can supply the whole of India for 1 month and Pakistan for 10 months. In the 18th century, people living on Hashimi Island, a short distance from Hashimi, so coal scattered on the ground. At first they did not know its properties, but then a man named Kuhita accidentally learned about its heating properties. From that day on, the people of Takashima Island began collecting coal scattered on the ground, which they used to heat their homes. That time, Nagasaki became an international shipping port in 1850 century. It was a stop power port between America and China, where ships carrying international cargoes to Western countries, that means Great Britain and the United States, were replacing the ship they sold with steam engines. They only needed one thing to run, and that was coal. When this ship stopped at the port of Nagasaki, they needed coal for fuel, and this coal was spread to Takashima Island, a short distance from Nagasaki. As the demand for coal increased, the islander began digging it out of the ground to sell. In no time, Takashima ran out of coal. He then headed back to the nearby island, Hashima Ohid, an island with abundant coal. Back the coal mining was done using old school methods, mostly by hand. Now the use of hand was not sufficient to meet the demands of the coal. That's why Mitsubishi bought Hashima Island in the 19th century. At that time, Mitsubishi was a shipping company who decided to start a proper coal mine in Hashima Island. Mitsubishi built house for the workers here and also built a sea wall to protect the whole island from the sea waves. That is why today the island looks like a ship shape. In 1996, 3,000 workers lived here who used to extract 115 tons of coal from the ground in a year. Due to the small size of Hashima Island, there was very little accommodation. Therefore, Mitsubishi built a concrete residential complex here so that more workers could live here with their families. It was the largest concrete building in Japan at that time, but it was still too small for workers to live in. The number of workers on Hashimi Island then increased and Mitsubishi also started building new complex here. Apart from this, school and recreation centers have also been constructed for the children of the workers. In 1941, coal production on Hashima Island reached 40,000 tons annually, which continued to increase. In 1959, the total population of the island was 5,200. Now, if we look at the total areas, the island is 15.5 acres. If we do simple math, 335 people live here in 1 acre. Such a dense population has not been found in the country of the world till date. You can infer from the fact that in China, where the population density is currently 84 people per acre, at that time in Hashima, 335 people live per acre. The workers living here said that 3 workers used to share a room, but there was sleeping space for only 2 workers and the third workers had to sleep in a closet. If I tell the truth, it was like a kilometer down Hashima Island. It was created where the temperature was 35 degrees Celsius and the humidity was 95%. Working under this hot condition was by no means without danger. Many workers lost their lives while working in the coal mines of Hashima Island. Even during and before World War II, Chinese and Korean prisoners were forced to work with their minds, for which the whole world criticized Japan to this day. For this reason, when the Japanese Empire was overthrown after World War II, to improve its image, Japan also built many facilities for workers on Hashima Island: gymnasiums, high school, and recreation centers. All facilities were kept absolutely free for workers, but for this the workers have to contribute to the maintenance of the island. Fresh drinking water was brought here from the Japanese mainland, but later water lines were drawn into the sea. Which connected to the Japanese mainland. In the 1960s, Hashima Island was at its peak and Japanese economy was also benefiting greatly from it. But it was at this time that the coal engine began to decline in the world. Coal was considered harmful to the environment and began to replace oil. Because of this, the demand for coal in the international market has also started to decrease, and gradually the coal mines started to close. Mining on Hashima Island was quite difficult because firstly it was isolated from the mainland and secondly there were frequent tsunami and storms in the South China Sea. Mitsubishi built a protective wall around the island, but the wall often broke down due to storm, causing additional costs to repair it. Due to these difficulties, the Hashima coal mine was no longer profitable. In the 1970s, Mitsubishi laid off 2,000 workers or reorganized them at other facilities. And then finally, on 15 January 1974, the company officially closed the Hashima coal mine. Thousands of workers left Hashima Island overnight without jobs and employment. A whole generation of people grew up here in the history of Hashima Island, but they had to leave their memories here. Today, Hashima looks like a forgotten, wrecked island in the South China Sea. The island was sealed off by the Japanese government for many years.